Deep dives and blue skies. Welcome back to Talking Blue with Nick, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Blue, another edition of Talking Blue, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find. I'll be your host, Nick. Today, episode 41, we're going to preview the Dodgers and the Brewers series, which will be taking place during the weekday series. Pretty good matchup, so we're going to get right into it. I kind of have to make this a quick preview today. So, as always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow myself at Talking Blue Nick. And follow us on Reddit at competitive-week8715. Today, like I said, we're previewing the Dodgers and the Brewers. Pretty good matchup. There's going to be some really good pitching matchups. Waste no time. Let's get into the pitching matchups. Let's get into the series. So I'm going to give you guys some info on the Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers are currently 50-40, second place in the National League Central. They're in a wild card spot. Offensively, the Brewers are middle of the pack in Major League Baseball in a lot of categories. They are 16th in batting average, 13th in on-base percentage, 22nd in slugging percentage. But one of the things they're good at, they are 7th in walk percentage, and they have the 4th lowest chase percentage as a lineup. So don't bring a lot of batting average or on-base, or a batting average and slug, I should say. They do have a little bit of on-base, and they do have the ability to walk, not go out of the strike zone. Guys like Christian Yelich, that's what he's always been pretty good at. They are a very athletic team. They are the best defensive team in the National League, second best in all of baseball, and they are the number one base running team in all of baseball. So a lot of fast guys, a lot of aggressive guys. Like I said, Yelich, Jackson Chourio, Bryce Terang. They have a lot of other guys as well. So they're super athletic team. Like I said, one of the better defensive teams, the best base running team. So a lot of times base running teams will give the Dodgers fits. Will Smith is a pretty good thrower and Dalton rushing, so that should help. They have improved that a lot over the last few years. Usually it's kind of more the pitchers that don't hold runners on as well and stuff like that. 2 of the 3 pitchers the Dodgers will be facing in this series are really good in Freddie Peralta and Jacob Misiorowski, the young rookie. So and then Jose Quintana, who they'll face in the third game, he also has good numbers this year. So Brewers, athletic team, pretty young with some solid core players like Yelich. They also have Rhys Hoskins. William Contreras is usually a good player. But the Brewers are kind of always one of those super analytically driven teams, platoon hitters. Kind of always have guys you don't know of, but by the end of the year you do learn their names, and they're pretty good teams. And they're always a very good pitching team, good bullpen and stuff like that. So, like I said, it's going to be some good pitching matchups. So, game 1 will be Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta, fastball Freddie. When I made a couple weeks ago, I made a thread on X about some possible trade candidates for the Dodgers to go after. Freddie Peralta was the least likely because of how difficult the trade would be and how likely it is he would actually be traded. Brewers are kind of one of those funky organizations like Cleveland and like Tampa, where they're willing to sell or trade away players even when they're kind of in the midst of being a good team. So it wouldn't be crazy that they could trade Freddie Peralta. Like I said, they're a team that doesn't have a lot of money, so usually they're not opposed to selling players to get players back. They traded Josh Hader one year where they were in first place. They have traded other guys. They traded Corbin Burns away, and we're still good. So it's not unlike them. But Freddie Peralta having probably the best year of his career this year, which is saying a lot because he's been a solid pitcher throughout his career. He's got a 2.91 ERA in 99 innings pitched. He's got 104 strikeouts. So he's a good strikeout pitcher. Does allow some walks, and is a fly ball pitcher. Doesn't keep the ball on the ground at all. So kind of an interesting pitcher. Like I said, his nickname is Fastball Freddy because he's always had a very good fastball and uses the fastball a lot. So he's kind of mixed up his pitch mix this year. He's always been a guy with really good four-seam fastball at the top of the zone, and then either slider or curveball. He's increased the changeup usage a lot this year, and it's actually been his best pitch this year. So his changeup has a 181 batting average against with a 32% whiff rate. So his four-seam fastball has a 207 batting average against, but it does have an expected batting average of 261. So there's a little bit of luck involved, but the curveball is 220, and then the slider is 182. So 4 legit pitches that are all pretty good. Like I said, he's a pretty big strikeout pitcher. Isn't great when it comes to limiting walks. So like a lot of pitchers nowadays, he's going to go for the strikeout, pitch up in the zone, and he's not afraid to, allow some walks. So pretty good pitcher. Now he is pretty neutral. Righties hit 205, lefties hit 200. Like I said, his fastball he throws over half the time. 57% four-seam fastballs. Then you got 20% changeup, 13 curveball, 8% slider. So he's a really good pitcher. The Dodgers have familiarity with him, but don't have a lot of great numbers against him. Now, Shohei, Freddie, Will, and Mookie all have 1 home run against them, but none of them really have like a good batting average or stuff like that against them. So he has, for the most part, pitched well against the Dodgers. So it will be a tough matchup in this game for sure. Of course, your best bet for home run picks or just guys to have success are guys who can handle fastballs, like Shohei. Of course, Mookie Betts is a good fastball hitter, so that'll be an interesting matchup because he does have 2 good off-speed or breaking balls. Does he throw that to Mookie? Again, other guys like Will and Teoscar. So it's, again, the first 2 games of this series are going to be hard for like home run predictions. But if the Dodgers can lay off the high fastball up and then kind of get that pitch down in the zone, or if Freddie Peralta kind of leaves some breaking balls out over the plate, stuff like that, the Dodgers do kind of hit changeups well, which will be interesting because he's increased the usage on his changeup. Guys like Mookie hit changeups well. Not so much Shohei, but Will Smith, Teoscar, if he's in there, we know he's a little bit dinged up right now. Andy Pages is solid. So that it's going to be an interesting matchup, and it's going to be a tough matchup. We'll see what the Dodgers do. So in this game, I'm going to pick Shohei and Conforto as my 2 home run picks. Shohei, good fastball hitter. I'm thinking that he tries to get up and in on Shohei, maybe leaves it out over the plate. And Shohei was pretty quiet in the Houston series, so I think he's due for a homer. And then Michael Conforto adds bats, have looked better. I know he's going to be in there against a righty. Expected batting average against fastballs is a lot better than his batting average, his real batting average against fastballs. So Conforto gets unlucky a lot. Again, I'm not one of those people who kind of defends him, thinks that he's having some secret great year. He's been bad this year, but has been better as of late. Doesn't chase a lot. So we'll see if Freddie Peralta's command is a little bit off. Dodgers could benefit from that. Like I said, he is prone to some walks. Dodgers, of course, hit well with runners in scoring position, and they don't chase well. So it's all going to depend on how locked in is that four-seam fastball. If he's got that really good deception and ride, and the Dodgers kind of can't get on top of that pitch, then it's going to be a long, maybe not too long. Freddie Peralta doesn't usually go too deep into games, but it's going to be a dominant 6 innings or so from Freddie Peralta. So against Yamamoto, again, Yamamoto is one of the best pitchers in the game, so he should fare well against the Brewers. But when I was looking into some of the Brewers' offensive numbers and stuff like that, they are a much better offensive team against left-handed pitching. One of the lower teams against right-handed pitching, one of the better against left-handed pitching. So that, of course, works with Yamamoto. Now, Yamamoto is somewhat of a reverse splits guy because of his splitter. He's better against lefties than he is righties, so I wonder if that comes into play at all. And he just reversed baseball weirdness. Does that affect anything? They're not that great of a four-seam fastball hitting team. Christian Yelich, Sal Frelick, good right fielder for them, and then Bryce Terang, their second baseman. Those are all good fastball hitters, but I was surprised to see that some of the other guys are not as great, and Yamamoto has one of the better four-seam fastballs in the game. I've said this a bunch. Doesn't get a ton of whiffs, but it doesn't get hit hard. He keeps the ball on the ground a lot. The ball does tend to fly in Milwaukee pretty well. They are pretty solid against sinkers, which is not a big deal against Yamamoto. Now, against changeups and splitters, which of course is Yamamoto's best pitch, their two best hitters when it comes to that pitch are Sal Frelick and Jackson Chourio, who's their young star player. Everyone else is not very good. They have a lot of low batting average against that pitch and stuff like that. They are solid against curveballs, a pitch Yamamoto will throw. William Contreras and their shortstop Ortiz, solid. So overall, the Brewers are, like I said, kind of a middle-of-the-pack offensive team. So they're a pretty young team, so you would assume they're decent against velocity and fastballs and stuff like that. The numbers don't say that they're too great against fastballs, kind of just middle-of-the-pack average. Like I said, Yelich is their best hitter. He's a good fastball hitter. And then Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, two young left-handed hitters. But the key pitch, splitters and changeups, they're not that great against. It's really just two hitters. So, like I said, the ball flies in Milwaukee, but Yamamoto does keep the ball on the ground. So he has been more prone for homers as of late, but he's going to keep the ball on the ground, going to get some punch-outs, going to use that splitter. I think he'll match up well. It's just going to be a tough battle against the starter Peralta. And then the Brewers do have a solid bullpen in the back half. Their closer, McGill, I think it's Trevor. I know there's two McGills, Tyler and Trevor. I think it's Trevor McGill. He's nasty, like 6'8", throws hard, 100 miles an hour. So let's go to game 2. Got to keep this moving. So game 2, Clayton Kershaw versus Jacob Misiorowski. Of course, Misiorowski, young right-hander. A lot of people have talked about him as of late. He gets kind of compared to like Jacob deGrom. He's kind of had like a Paul Skeens start. His numbers aren't as dominant as I thought when I clicked on his looked at his stats, but in terms of the hype and how like his electric stuff, there's a lot of hype around him. So he's big, tall right-hander with a super electric fastball. His fastball actually averages 99 miles an hour, so he actually throws harder than like Shohei and Paul Skeens, who are some of the hardest throwing pitchers in the game. So Jacob Misiorowski, when we dive into some of his individual pitches, pretty much is a three-pitch pitcher. It's kind of interesting. They mark it as four-seam fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. When you see his pitches in real time, the slider looks more like a cutter because the slider gets thrown at 94.3 miles an hour. So it kind of is more of a cutter. They just chart it as a slider. And then his curveball, which I've seen, I feel like I've seen before. I feel like it's more of a slider-looking breaking ball, and then just the changeup, which of course is at 92. So he's got the four-seam fastball, the slider, cutter, and then the nasty breaking ball. So the four-seam fastball has been electric. 125 batting average against. The slider, 174. And then the curveball that he throws, it has a 0 batting average with a 38% whiff rate. So obviously, he's only thrown 19 innings this year. Actually didn't have as many strikeouts as I thought. 19 2/3 innings, 21 strikeouts. So that's good. He's a good strikeout pitcher. Now he is prone to some walks. He's got a 12% walk rate. He's actually, from what I've heard, has been better than he's been in the minor leagues. That's always been his issue, is walks. He's 6'7", throws super hard. That's kind of the era we live in. Well, guys with electric stuff aren't afraid to walk hitters. So one thing I did notice, all of his earned runs are against left-handed hitters. So I wonder if there's been some unluckiness. Righties hit under 100, 057, and then lefties hit 200. So either way, he's been dominant against both guys. But lefties have had a little bit more luck. So this is going to be a super hard matchup for the Dodgers. We'll see. He has given up some runs. I believe it was against the Twins, and then somebody else put up some runs against him. So obviously no familiarity. Nobody's on the Dodgers has seen him because he's a rookie. So I'm going to pick Andy Pages, and I'm going to pick Dalton Rushing as my 2 home run picks. Hopefully Dalton Rushing is in there. Like I always say when I pick either Will Smith or Dalton, or I haven't picked Dalton Rushing, but whenever I pick Will Smith, it's kind of dependent on which game he's going to play. Usually they play Will in the first game and then in the third game, and then Dalton Rushing catches the second game. So I think that's what I'm thinking with Quintana, the lefty, in game 3. They would like Will Smith in there. and then they'll probably have Will Smith catch the first game. So I would imagine Dalton Rushing gets the start, especially because I believe Rushing started Sunday. So that should mean Will Smith will start Monday, and then Dalton Rushing. Just going off feel, Paz is a pretty decent fastball hitter, hits better against righties. Actually hasn't gone deep in a little while by his standards. He's had such a good first half. Dalton Rushing has hit better as of late. Just literally just vibes. He's got a short, compact swing. Maybe he catches up to a fastball out over the plate, hits it out to left center. The ball kind of flies out decently well to the opposite field in that park. He's a strong guy, so we'll see. Maybe Dalton Rushing can get his, I think, second big league home run. But it's going to be a tough matchup. He throws super hard, and he's got electric stuff. And when you go up against a guy, it doesn't matter that he's a rookie and he's young. When you go up against a guy like that who throws super hard and you've never seen him, the first time through the lineup is going to be like a feel out. Like, how electric is he? What's the stuff looking like? Unless he just has no command and walks hitters, it's going to be hard to hit him. So temper your expectations the first two games because it's two very good pitchers. So Kershaw will be going up against Mizorowski, like I said. Now, the Brewers are much better against left-handed pitchers. Like I said, not as good against righties, better against lefties. I would imagine that's because of guys like Rhys Hoskins, Contreras, Churio being better against lefties, guys like that. Maybe Yelich is a reverse splits guy. I'm not sure. Wouldn't be surprised. So I don't love the matchup for Kershaw because the ball flies in Milwaukee. They're better against lefties. Now, Kershaw hasn't given up a ton of home runs this year, so I don't mind that. And the Brewers don't hit a ton of home runs, but they do walk a lot and stuff. So that's not really an issue with Kershaw. He's kind of locked in his command. So, like I said, Kershaw's fastball is actually graded out decently well this year, and he's had a good curveball, and they don't have like any crazy numbers against sliders and stuff. So I think Kershaw will be fine. He'll give a decent outing. I don't think he'll dominate the Brewers, but I don't think he's gonna get lit up. I think he'll give you a solid 5 innings, 1 or 2 earned runs, something like that. But they could hit Kershaw, like I said, because they're really good against lefties, stuff like that. So we'll see how that matchup plays out. So we'll go to Game 3. This will be a day game. Game 3 will be Dustin May versus Jose Quintana. Jose Quintana was on the Mets last year. Dodgers faced him in the postseason. So Quintana has been having a pretty solid year so far. He's got an ERA of 3.44, but he has a lot of bad expected numbers. So you guys know I'm big into this. Like I said, his ERA is 3.44, but his expected ERA is 4.18. He's got an expected batting average of 2.62. He does not get any whiffs or strikeouts. He has a 15% K rate, 17% whiff rate. So he doesn't get any swings and misses, doesn't get any strikeouts, doesn't get much chase. He does limit hard hit damage solidly, keeps the ball on the ground. He's a sinker baller, very classic veteran left-handed sinker ball pitcher. So when we dive into his pitches and stuff like that, he's got a sinker that isn't too great, 270 batting average against. A changeup, which gets crushed. Wouldn't say crushed, but gets hit pretty hard, 311 batting average, which is kind of surprising. You would think a left-hander changeup, sinker baller, that would be one of his better pitches. He's got a curveball that has a 148 batting average against, but an expected 292. Then he's got a four-seamer and a slurve. So he kind of doesn't have any dominant pitches. Dodgers have hit lefties pretty good. Hit sinkers well. So I like the matchup for the Dodgers here to put up some runs against Quintana. Like I said, the ball flies in Milwaukee. So in this game, I'm going with Mookie Betts and I'm going with Tommy Edman. Mookie, like I said, has been heating up. I like him going to a ballpark like this. Maybe he'll have some more luck. Now, the Brewers play good defense, so that kind of scares me that we're going to see Mookie get robbed of some hits. But I like the sinker changeup matchup against Mookie, left-handed pitcher. And then Tommy Edman, of course, crushes lefties. Hopefully he'll be in there. I'm sure he will be because it's against a lefty. Tommy Edman hits lefties really well. But we know he was kind of dinged up. I would normally pick either Teoscar or Will Smith or something, but Teoscar, we'll see what happens because he's dinged up. And then I picked Will Smith a lot lately. So Mookie and Tommy Edman, home run picks. And then against Dustin May, like I said, Brewers are a little bit better against sinkers than they are four-seam fastballs. But we kind of saw Dustin May implement more fastballs, four-seam fastballs against the White Sox last time. Not good against sweepers. Only Bryce Trang and Sal Frelick have solid numbers. They're not good against the sweeper. Dustin May was really good against the White Sox. Hopefully he found something and he builds off of that, brings it to Milwaukee. Again, the ball flies there, so it's good that the Dodgers will have two good ground ball pitchers in the, as well as Kershaw. He keeps the ball on the ground, but especially Yamamoto and Dustin May. Two ground ball pitchers to keep the ball on the ground in Milwaukee, where the ball flies. And then some of the Dodgers pitchers do match up pretty well against the Brewers. Now, the key to the series will kind of be keeping the Brewers lineup at bay, I think, because they're athletic. They like to run the bases. And the last thing you want is traffic on the bases and just chaos with the base runners, because that's just never a good formula. So looking for the Dodgers to get back on track after that just bad showcasing against the Astros. They were playing well coming into that series, just for whatever reason just didn't play well. It happens. You can get back on track against the Brewers. It will be a tough matchup. The offense has to put up good at-bats in the first two games. I think they're going to hit Quintana. All you got to do is just put up good at-bats. Nobody's going to crush Peralta or Mizorowski. I'd be shocked if they put up a bunch of runs. Doesn't matter that the Dodgers have the best lineup probably in baseball. You don't hit dominant pitching like that or crush it necessarily, unless those guys are tipping or something like that. Just need to put up solid at-bats. Should have some decent base runners against Peralta and Mizorowski, because they're prone to walk hitters. So it's going to come down to what can he do with runners in scoring position, which the Dodgers tend to be pretty good at. So I'm looking for guys like Mookie to stay hot, Freddie to show up in this series. I would like to see Shohei bring a little bit of pop, and then Andy Pages show up a little bit. He didn't do much in the Houston series. I could be forgetting. But he's always good with runners in scoring position, as well as Will Smith. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. It should be a good series, and it'll be some really good pitching matchups. So that's all I have for you guys. As always, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow myself at Talking Blue Nick. Subscribe to the Reddit at competitive-week8715. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys on Wednesday to recap this series.